Hi, friends. So, something that you will hear me say a lot is that leadership matters, excellence matters, that we need to do it right if we're going to do it at all. And that came from a lot of different places. But the couple places that I want to talk about today are the specific people who taught me what excellence could look like in the leadership space. And I did some reflecting on this, and I realized that it's two things. It's caring about your people first and foremost, and it's making sure that you show up as who you are so that your people can do the same. So the two people that I worked with and for years, really, but that had the biggest impact on me happened to be named Robin and Robert, and that's fun because when I was a little girl, I had two dolls, and they were twins, and their names were Robin and Robert. Now, these people are not twins, and they're not, but that just was a fun, ironic little piece of that puzzle. So I worked for Robert first, and Robert is the consummate Southern gentleman. He has worked as a superintendent in multiple districts in North Carolina specifically. And when I worked for Robert, my position was new. And it was a position where I was supposed to be a sense maker for the organization and for our specific area of the organization. And he gave me, I want to say, wings. So this is talking about leadership and excellence. And what Robert did is that he trusted me to know more about him in certain areas and then trusted himself to know more than me in other areas. In other words, he didn't force me into a lane. He said, "Where do you shine? And I'm going to let you shine there." So, leadership lesson number one from him was really know your people well enough to let them be sparkly in the things that they're really good at. So, a specific example of that, Robert was. I was responsible for helping him with meeting agendas, but my superpower is planning a meeting that actually lets the learning stick. And so he said, "Christy, I need you to run with it. Here are the four topics that we need to cover. Can you please set up a way to make that happen?" And so it was my job to be that sense maker. But what I loved most about it is I would say to him, "Okay, what do we need to talk about?" And he would give me that list. And then I'd say, "Okay, what do you want to accomplish with this conversation?" And Robert was an out loud processor, so he would often tell us all the things, which was wonderful, except sometimes we walked away from the conversation not knowing what we needed to do next. So it was my job to get us to the point where he could say, "Here's what you need to know, and here's what you need to do differently because of what you know." Great leaders recognize that somebody needs to pick up the ball and run from where they have left it. And that's what Robert did for me. Robin, I worked for her next. I worked with her when I worked under Robert, and then I switched departments and started working with Robin and for Robin. What Robin did for me that nobody else had ever done is she took the time to say, "Christy, you're really good at this, and you could get better here." She did it in the most loving, wonderful, nurturing way, but she pushed me to think differently and do things differently. So I am a go all the time human. I don't sit still well, I don't stop well. And so because I'm a on the go human, I would answer emails at 10 o'clock at night, and I would send emails at 4 o'clock in the morning. And I would expect that, oh, well, they don't have to check it until they want to. And she pulled me aside one time and she said, "Christy," she said, "you are setting an expectation for people that when you send an email, they should answer it." And I'm like, "No, I don't expect them to do that." She said, "How would they know?" I'm like, "Oh, good point." So she taught me to be thoughtful about timing. She taught me to be thoughtful about boundaries. And what it did was two things. It was freeing for me because I all of a sudden went, "Wait a minute, I don't have to do this right now. I could do this later and it's okay." It taught me to use delay delivery. It taught me to set boundaries so that my people could do the same. And it also showed me that the world was going to continue turning whether I sent that email at 10 o'clock at night or the next morning at 8. So, those are just two specific examples of excellent leaders that I happened to be blessed with that have made me want to share what I know and what I do. So, I have spent the last, well, let's say 20 years anyway, but really specifically the last five, building the people around me so that they are becoming great leaders too, and that they're not settling for where they are, but instead where they could be. So I got the best compliment the other day from one of my team members. She said, Christy, we were going around talking about what we were grateful for because it is that season, right? And she said, I'm grateful for you. I was like, oh my gosh. And I, held on her every word. And she said, I'm grateful for you because you recognize our talents and you push us to do more. And you see the potential in us, and then you find ways to nurture it. Isn't that what all great leaders should do? So, as a leader, what are you doing to push people to be that much better? Because you know what? It's there, and the people around you could be amazing. And sometimes we feel threatened by making people around us better because what if they outshine us? That's the point. They should outshine you. They should be so bright and shiny that you are unbelievably proud of the people you work with and who work with you. So, I am grateful for Robin and Robert. I am grateful for the people around me that I get to pour into now because Robin and Robert were great leaders. And I want to challenge you to figure out who the great leaders are in your space, find them, recognize them, and use them to learn from.